according to the Director General of Elections, Cameroon, Dr. Eric Esosis. Get to read more on that paper for this morning. We move now to the Army Nation Symbiosis. It says MINDEF reinstitute two-story building to Catholic Varsity in a 2D. You can find more on that paper for today. Moving on to Loju of Haman Mana. Loju talks of this book, Saving Journalism in Cameroon, written by Haman Mana. You can find more on that paper of Loju for this morning. And Southwest region, the industrialization strife in the Southwest region that has been championed by the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Focalitus Gentry. Poverty rate in Cameroon that says more than 40% of the population are affected by acute poverty in the country. Cameroon Tribune for this day, factorization of billing of electricity says the tariff still remains following an announcement that has not changed in the billing of electricity supply in the country. Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, Chobok, it says leaders commit to resilient democratic institutions. Get to read more on that Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that just took place in Samoa Island of the Caribbean, and Cameroon was represented by Prime Minister Joseph Dion Kuti. National security, over 2,400 police trainees integrates into the police department in the country. Municipal updates for this morning talks of visits to the Southwest region. Minister Focalitus Gentry announces multi-billion tire factory in the Southwest region. Boya Council to begin digital issuance of birth certificates next year, and the broadcast of the documentary film in Bamenda, it says Northwest renews commitment to support BIA. This was the pronouncement of the head of that set of event. That is Regina Munzi. Get to read more on her pronouncement on that paper for today. The Longue Affairs reported by Mutation for today talks of the game of PA. Get to read more on that said paper for today. Professor Jacques Famdongo has been appointed as the board chair of this Pan-African institution in Senegal known as ISMV. You can find more on that said paper for today. Moving forward with Emergence Quotidien talks of presidential elections 2025. Elekam on the grill, and in that said paper, Central Region bought macaque. This is a chase of that set incident. You get to read more on that paper for this morning. We'll move on to the next publication now. That is Lloyd Sahel. It says Mayo Dane and Logon and Shari division of the Far North region. More than 400,000 persons affected by floods in the Far North region, and in these two divisions of Mayo Dane and Logon and Shari divisions of the country of the Far North region. Cabral Libri, the paper talks of we need to come up with a solid coalition against 2025 presidential elections. And Garwa One Council, 523 cases of 523 cases of default of list in elections Cameroon registered. Get to read more on that paper for today. We move forward with La Nouvelle. La Nouvelle says Enam, the paper report of this massive corruption at Enam as reported by La Nouvelle newspaper for today. Longue, the Longue says the activism that is silence. Gets to read more on the torture and of Longue in Semi in Douala. Away from that, we now take you to the next publication for today. Le Quotidien for this morning says the city plan is talks of the satisfactory of the Agence Française for Development, or the French Agency for Development, regarding the city plan that is being implemented by that said French institution, as they express their satisfactory, in which Madame the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Kecha Cortez, is moving with that same speed across the 10 regional capitals of the country. And for our show for this day talks of 493 engineers ready for digitalization in Africa, according to Info Show newspaper for this day. And I said Info Show newspaper, the paper report on this. It says Fingong Charala, the comedian, too condemns the torture of singer Lunge Lunge by gendarmerie officials from the semi department in Tualala. Meteo for this morning talks of the pastor of APC Monclan in Sam in Yaoundé, Reverend Emile Benjamin Bendek, installed into function. That is the Église Presbyterienne du Cameroun, APC. We now take you to La Voix de Jeune for this morning talks of promotion of the youth. He says celebrates Paul Biya. Moving on to the next paper for today, L'Expression for this morning talks of the commemoration of the UPC not of Augustin Frederick Kodok, one-time minister in the Bia's cabinet. We move on to the next publication. Now for this day, we take you to the Horizon report of alleged exclusion of 12,000 voters by Elecam. Dr. Eric Susse replies Camto. We move forward with Minister Focalitus Gentry and encourages investments in the Southwest region, as reported by the Horizon and North Nouvelle Horizon for today. And Akamount So Atang Paul donate 50 health vouchers to some vulnerable pregnant women in the Northwest region. Lendepandang for this day talks of these billions of CFA, that is the Saunders Affair Resources Limited. You can find more on that paper for today. The Guardian Post for this morning says Mehmet Division soldiers send Amber General Lucifer to hell. And on working visits to the Southwest region, soon hub of industrialization transformation, according to the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Focalitus Gentry. At Bia documentary film projection in the Northwest region, CPDM Northwest count fruits of marriage with Paul Bia's regime. The Post newspaper from Boya of late Francis Wache. The Post report of Bangangile charges 2,444 Mutengene police of trainees to protect citizens and be apolitical in the face of elections that will be facing next year 2025 and the preceding year 2026. Get to read details on that paper for today. Northwest elite CPDM members attend Bia's documentary screening in large numbers. We move on to this other story. Rice Value Chain Development Project. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Gabriel Bairobi launches project to revitalize Cameroon's rice industry. We now take you to the next paper. Daily Trust for this day says hardship bites harder as not enter eighth day without electricity. We are talking of northern Nigeria. Low cost, it says low sales at petrol stations. Citizens abandon vehicles regarding the non-availability of fuel in Nigeria. The Guardian for this morning talks of Aro MAFC faults high cost of governance, seeks better prudence. Get to read more on the Guardian newspaper for this day. New Telegraph for this day talks of transport costs. Nigerians appeals federal government intervention as airfares skyrocket. And Nigerian News Direct for this morning, NNPC blames IMF World Bank for federal government's decision to remove fuel subsidy in Nigeria. We now move forward with 4 months without salary, anxiety as NASU and SANU begins nationwide strike today in Nigeria. Daily Independent for this morning talks of experts list how federal government can ramp up production, attract investments in Nigeria. Niger Delta agitators threatens to shut down oil installations. Get to read more on that paper for today. We now take you to the advocates of Tabetang and Obika talks of Sonora Frost, Kribi Economic Local Development Actors Fair, and City Mayor of Limbe, Paul Efumen Gale, sales Limbe at French Strip. Get to read more on that set paper for today. We'll wrap up the program with the last paper for this morning. That is the Eagle's Eyes talks of Fanja inspires students of Institut Supérieur Royal Damaga. Get to read more on that set paper. And let's take a bow out of the studio with the final last of them all. That is Nigerian Tribune, the national print from Abuja. Nigerian Tribune talks of Nigerians 134.3 trillion naira debt overhack. It says servicing costs undermine private investment, economic growth. And we move on to the cost of governance in Nigeria, amongst the highest in sub-Saharan Africa, according to the MAFC. And NNPC helicopter crash, another body retrieved, and SIP deployed 2 more specialists to crash sites today in order to retrieve the bodies of others who were involved in that helicopter crash there, according to Nigerian Tribune. And with Nigerian Tribune viewers, this is what put a pause on this first segment of the program. We'll be back immediately after this. Once again, you are heartily welcome back. If you are joining us, you are on to Press Brief, and joining me for the second phase of the program is our resource person, Lucas. Good morning to you, and you're welcome.
Good morning.
All right, and so we'll be starting with the first paper for today. That is Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune will be the first Cameroon Tribune report on the billing of electricity tariff. It says the electricity tariff still remain the same, as nothing has added and nothing has changed. Regarding that, as many Cameroonians were envisaging that there will be an increase in electricity tariff supply.
Well, it is said that nothing has changed, which is good. One thing we have to admit is the fact that we shall be moving into the last section of the parliamentary and the senatorial program. That is the November session, and it is the session that has to do with budget. You know, Cameroonians are already seeing this. The same with the issue of fuel. It is eminent that there will be an increase. But as per what Cameroon Tribune talks about today, Cameroon Tribune is saying that the in between the year, except they modify the budget. Because once they modify the budget, what causes increase, for example, it is when taxes are increased. So a NEO cannot increase the per unit cost of energy when she has not received a commensurate or an increase of her tax. So Once there is a marginal increase, you actually get the marginal cost. You actually get an increase, which is pretty obvious in this case. So what we are saying is there is no increase. Increase is imminent because we are looking at 2025. We are looking at what is going to happen. It is an electoral year, and you know, with the poor and the bad governance that we are currently experiencing in Cameroon, we are likely to have an increase. It is quite unfortunate.
All right, Lucas, we move on to the just ended Commonwealth Health of Government Summit at the Samoa Islands in the Caribbean. He says leaders commit to resilient democratic institutions. Cameroon was represented over there by the Prime Minister Joseph John Guti, according to Cameroon Tribune for this morning.
Yes, at the Samoa Island, there was a pronouncement. The take home from the Commonwealth Head of States in the Samoa Island is we have to push further with democratization of our country. We have to permit that democracy takes its full course. And this is what the Commonwealth is all about. We are talking about an organization of English-speaking countries that those who have defected their French language as their first language of their country, they are becoming a member to it. And we are looking at Britain. You know, after colonization, everyone is looking at how do I keep the same people on the same way that I've always held them. You have the Commonwealth, you have La Francophonie, and you have the rest. So, at the level of Commonwealth, in the Samoa Island, there was a pronouncement, there was a decision that one of the causes of problems today plaguing Commonwealth countries is the issue of the violation of the rule of law, or it is the lack of rule of law, and the dictatorial system that we have in a quite subtle way in some of these countries. So, according to Cameroon Tribune, the take-home message is that they have to speed it up and they have to put more effort in democratizing their respective countries or members of the Commonwealth. But I want to say this to that which the paper writes. Yes, Cameroon is a democracy. Howbeit, if you were to go by some of the things that we have on the ground, we have more of presidential decrees that will set up the management of certain institutions than the way law would have made it. For example, you had the 2019 law on decentralization, the presidential decree on you look at the decentralization law, there was a decree that set out how it has to be managed and so on, which is quite unfortunate because at the end of the day, the democracy that we are practicing, like a friend told me yesterday, he said that we are in midway in what we call democracy. We are partly a dictatorial country, or we are living in a dictatorship, and partly democracy. So we are not completely a democratic nation. In a sense, that person is right, because when you look at institutions in Cameroon, for example, even we were in that democracy that we all desire, the judiciary is actually being determined by the executive. And if you look at the legislative likewise, you see when you hear people come out massively to give their absolute support to the incumbent, it sounds as though that is a democracy. But in the real sense of a democracy, this ought not to be, because what is happening is like someone tells you that this is what you have to do, and you tell the person that, okay, I am going to go by it. So we want this to be practical on the ground. Yes, I am enjoying part of the democracy that Cameroon is, and don't forget also that this is a democracy that is actually being dictated by members of the Commonwealth. You remember when Cameroon was taken out of the Commonwealth because of what happened in Cameroon, we had to go back to the 1990 laws. We had to put up certain laws for us to be readmitted into the Commonwealth. So these are the things that democracy brings. So we must press hard, and Cameroon are doing, because when you call the government to order, when you write certain petitions, when you write certain advocacy to to certain institutions. They respect these things, and today we are talking about this. And I have no doubt that we are going to advance more. The human rights institutions and the civil society in Cameroon is doing more, and we shall have a better democracy. Someday you will sit and hear that within a particular political party, like we have it in the US or we have it in the UK, you will hear that somebody said to the chairperson of his party, especially the incumbent, that no, I don't want you anymore. I want somebody else.
All right. Lucas, we'll move on to the Median now. The Median is the next paper for today. It says government grammar school Mamfi at 50 plus. Maxosans launched Golden Jubilee celebrations in Pomp in Yaoundé, and this was over the weekend, as it was presided over by one of theirs who happens to be the minister at the presidency in charge of special duties, Victor Aren Kongo Mengot. So, and the celebrations proper will be taking place this December in Grammar School Mamfi. That happens to be the third government institution created west of the Mongo after grammar school bilingual grammar school Moliko, later on Kas Bambili, and now this way.
Yeah, you know, when the bilingual grammar school left the Ambas Bay and moved up to where we now have it, and later on we had the Kas Bambili, the government at the time, the federal government at the time, posed that children from that area, we had the Libialem division, which is now the people of Libialem who were part of the Mamfe province
and part of Kupe Maninguba.
That was the school that served them. And today, Victor Aren Mengot, minister delegate at the presidency, today says, okay, it would be good, me as the leader, why not start the launching? I am happy, to be honest with you. Whenever I hear issues of education, whenever I hear issues that concern school, I am happy because I know, of course, we should not forget that if you talk about Mamfe today, if you talk about the Manu divisions today, we do not have up to 3 public schools that are functioning because of the ongoing crisis. And I want to say that this is a good move. If they can put down their personal ego and speak further that when this celebration is going to start in Mamfe, it should help the people see the reason why we have to allow children go to school. I am particularly touched with this because I know how hard it is for the people of the Manu division to actually identify a place to go to school. And we should not forget that our public schools are relatively more receptive than lay, private, and confessional schools, and they are more expensive. And this is caused for the education with the increasing cost of education today in Cameroon. And I want to praise Aren Mengot with this move. Now, not because he has done what no other person couldn't do, but because he has accepted that yes, we should start something like this. 50 years of an existence of an institution like this within the said area that has saved part of Kupe Maninguba. There will be people that will be living for Kupe those days. There will be people there who are 60 years today that will be celebrating also among those who will be celebrating in Mamfe. And I want to take this and make an appeal and call on the non-state armed groups that there is no reason for us to continuously keeping our children back at home. Let me tell you the fact. If you hear Southern Sudan today or South Sudan today as a country that some of you quote that they fought and they got their separation from Sudan, it is because those who were fighting that kids must be in schools, and some created schools in other regions that permitted children to go to school, and their plight was hearkened to, and the US supported them greatly, and today South Sudan is a country. So there is no reason for us to continuously keeping our children back at home. So to you who actually identify the activities of the no-state armed group to be something good, but remember that the same activity hinders kids from going to school. And the celebration of this government bilingual grammar school, Mamfe,
No, it's just grammar school. Not bilingual. Grammar school,
which will be celebrating its 50th anniversary.
And it's supposed to have taken place in 2019.
Unfortunate.
Due to the crisis itself, so it was pushed to 2024. Great. So I think she must be 50. If my mathematics doesn't fail me, she must be 56 or 58 or so. Yeah.
Great. So there is a need. There is this need that children be allowed to go to school. And I want to say that this celebration should not raise an alarm for some people to think that they have to go there and start attacking people.
Okay.
No, please, let us grow above that. We know that the problems of Cameroon is coming from the central government. We should not target people who are innocent. Okay. Forget about some of these people who work with some of these top guys of the central government. They too are trapped, and they are struggling to see that they too can bear themselves. So we should please permit kids to go to school. I am speaking out to all the self-arrogated generals in the Manu division and in Manfe Central particularly. Please, children have to be in school. So we should allow this celebration. I know the celebration is going to be something wonderful. Kids within that particular area, they are going to receive a lot of things, and there will be a lot of engagement that will be taken there. I know children that were actually emerged victorious come the GCE 2025 or 2024, their GCE 2025. Yeah. I know that they will have to receive a lot of award or reward for persons that would have been maybe permitted to be on the ground to celebrate this jubilee, which is being celebrated 6 years later.
All right, we move now to the next paper. We stay with the media. It talks of industrialization masterpiece, tire plan, a game changer for Southwest region. Fukalisi's Gentry's pronouncement as he was on a working visit to the Southwest region that took him to the town of Tico, as Tico is being described as the next industrial hub in the country. Mm-hmm. We are talking of a tire plan as Fukalisi's went there for the commissioning of a food processing company and a brewery that equally produce brewery products too in Tico along Miselele, the Tico Douala Highway.
Yeah, industrialization that has taken place in Douala only, leaving the former West Cameroon's industries that were rising dead. It is a good thing today that the central government is going back to start making things right. This is a wonderful move. I know that there are people who have identified this to be some political move because we are looking at 2025 out there. But I want to say that before we became a United Republic of Cameroon, and later on the Republic of Cameroon, we had industries in the British Cameroon that were killed because we got together. And today, the central government is seeing that these things also led to the arm carrying in the two English-speaking regions in the wrong hands. Or that is in the wrong hands. It is because of the marginalization of so many things that today we are going back to start putting them right. It is a good move. We need these companies because it is going to cut down. And I want to make it categorically clear, and I want to say that this is my stand, and certainly it is going to be the stand of most of the English-speaking Cameroonians. We will not want to see a company like we have Sonara down here, where the director generals and the rest are only coming from, or they are people coming from East Cameroon. We want to see Anglophones being the director generals in these companies that are rising at the level around Miselele. Because for the number of years we have had Sonara, we have never had an English-speaking director general. And we want to have that change these years. We want to see the difference. We want these things not to be the way they have been for these past 60 years counting. We want to have a better situation. We want to see that the children also from this side, the Anglophones, should be the ones also to manage it. It is not an Anglophone company, I know, but I want to say that
private companies,
we want to see these things operate the way they have to operate, because in as much as they are private companies, we should not forget that it is only fair that these companies respect the area where they are operating. It will be very disheartening. It will be disheartening to see a company operating in your house is a janitor or a janitress. We don't want that. We don't want a situation where those who will be there will be persons who are begging for the job.
or a gate man.
Or a gate man. No, we don't want this situation. We want the social corporate responsibility to fully take place.
Okay.
Where our own, especially those from the southwest region, they should, why not be the directors of those said companies? Because it will be of good to the area and it will motivate the people. You know, if you want somebody to protect what you're bringing to he or she, let he or she be at the decision-making level.
Okay.
Because once the person is not there, the person will find no reason to protect it.
All right, moving forward with the guidance post, it says Mehmet Division of the Southwest Region soldiers sent by General Lucifer to hell as he was neutralized by the forces of law and order in Mehmet Division. We are talking of the guidance post.
Lucifer was already in hell. I don't know who let loose Lucifer. You know, sometimes when I look at some of these guys and the names they bear, yeah,
it's quite hilarious.
Yes, I see General Devu, I see General Dai, I see General Dees. You know, when they arrogate themselves these names, they fail to see the impact of it. They think it is something that you need to do. Now, God is just. And to imagine that God created his world, or God has brought you into this world, and you come back and you want to glorify someone who fought him until he was cast out and sent down from heaven, and you think you're going to bear such a name to live. And it's quite unfortunate that most of these guys, without mincing words, are a problem to the communities. Yeah. And you see, the cooperation that the community is now giving, it is leading to their death. It is leading to their death, what the Cameroon military call neutralize. It is leading to their death, which is quite unfortunate, because we are losing fellow Cameroonians. And at the end, no one seems to see it, especially those who are making this decision. When I talk about no one, I'm looking at those who are taking the decision for children to go to the bushes. I'm looking at those who are taking the decision for the military to go and start killing fellow Cameroonians. No one is seeing it as something that is very important. But what do we gain out of this? We keep on having young people who will die every day. Lucifer was not needed on earth, and Lucifer had been sent back to where he belonged. Of course, you shouldn't forget, as per what Jesus did, Lucifer was actually defeated. The 3 days he was in hell, Lucifer was defeated, held bound, and he's actually there. What we see, Lucifer was not needed on earth. But what do we want? We want an end to this, because we have had several of these generals killed, beginning with General Ivo, who was the first, who is said to have been the person Ayabacho made. He is the first who was killed. And we have killed several of these people, but we are still not at the end of the ongoing senseless war. Okay. It is quite unfortunate that Paul Biya, who is the president of Cameroon, admitted in France that the problems in Cameroon is the assimilation that was started by him. You get it? Of the Anglophones that led to the revolt, to change the way they should operate. But today it has finally brought us to an armed conflict. And today we have names of generals whom we know should not exist on earth, and it's quite unfortunate. So, without looking at whether someone was wrong or right, I think it is time for Cameroon. Every day, someone in the 2 English-speaking regions must die. Be it the state security forces that we have spent so much money to train them, and we are spending a lot to sustain them, or a child who was inspired by the cash that his friends presented to him, or a child who felt marginalized, like Kawa Yanik said it in 2019 during the Measure National Dialogue, that his reason for going to the bush was because you come here, you find things different than the way they operate in Douala.
All right, Lucas, we'll move forward with the next paper considering the measures. For this day, talks of the circulation of the Lunge video torture that was conducted at the Simi headquarters of Douala by the Gendarmerie forces. So, and it's following his media outing in the French television channel TV5 Monde recently. So, what do you make of this Lunge situation according to quotidian emissions that says reactions and condemnations keeps on surmounting across the spectrum?
We have condemned, I have equally condemned. We have condemned this act. I want to say that Cameroon is a signatory of the CAT Convention. And what was done, or what was meted on Longe also is a penal crime in Cameroon. The Cameroon Penal Code frowns at that, and anyone who does that is going to jail. And we should not forget that the purpose for this pain was inflicted on Longe with the sole purpose to extract an information from him. But when you go to Article...
Was that even an extraction of an information? Because he went in 2019 stating that President Biya lost the election to Maurice Kamto. So that was a trigger, not even like looking for a way to extract information from him.
No, the video Longe shared with us, please. Longe made us to understand on that video that they forced him, they asked him, if you listen to the video, the torture video itself, in that video, you will hear one man asking him, "Quitte envoyer." So the person had as interest who sent him. Apparently, when Longe made the outing that Kamto is the president, and he went further and stated that Kamto did win the election, and he also said that if we want to believe that Kamto won the election, then we should conduct the election in different cities. We should take Douala and conduct elections, keep the result. Take Boya, conduct, keep the result. Take Limbe, conduct, keep the result. That at the end, we will see that Longe is not indeed the one saying that Kamto won, but we will see the result and we will know that, yes, Kamto did win. So on that video, Tabala, who happens to be the commander at Simil at the time, who is now a colonel, was the person who said Longe should be tortured, according to Longe on that video. And Longe also, he made mention of the call he had made in 2019 when he told the world that what has happened to him, only him himself can tell the world what happened to him. That he knows that when he will say it, no one will believe it. And if you listen on that video, which he granted, I think an interview he granted on France 24, he also made mention that...
No, TV5 Monde Afrique.
Sorry, TV5 Monde. He made mention of this, that he is not likely going to return to Cameroon, because if he returns to Cameroon, he will be lynched. So he prefers to be where he is. So it was, I think after the video went viral, few hours later, Joseph Betty Asomo, Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, ordered for an investigation. And I want to hear the Minister of Justice. I want to hear Laurent Esso, because we have condemned. And if you listen to that video, the center, there was a condemnation that was made by the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa.
Yeah.
CHADA condemned that act that was actually perpetrated on Longe and called on the government of Cameroon, the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, and the Minister of Justice to ensure that justice be served. So this is to tell you that human rights organizations are out there condemning, and they have said that which is actually needed at a time like this. And I want to say that Cameroon is a signatory to the CAT Convention, and this is a violation, or this is a total violation of that particular law. And if you go to the CAT Convention, you will realize that I think Article 3 states that for no reason, whether in times of war or in times of whatsoever, should someone be tortured. But you see, Longe said, okay, Kanto did win the election. Paul Biya did not win this election. If you want to believe me, let us condemn, or let us conduct a rerun of their election. And he was actually called by the elements of the Simil. And it's quite unfortunate. And in one of the videos that Longe also made, there was a time in one of his songs, he said, Papa, you are tired. Retire for some other person. But you know, I don't believe that Paul Biya, the president, indeed sent anybody to arrest Longe.
Just overzealous gendarmerie officers.
Overzealous gendarmerie officers who felt that. But I want to say that beside their being overzealous, you know, in Cameroon, like we heard the Minister of Territorial Administration and his outing, that no one should comment on the health condition or the health state of the president. Shortly later, we got an information from the Prime Ministry. The Prime Minister said it
calling Atanganji to order
that there was no need to do that which you're doing.
I think there's a lot of loopholes when it comes to communication in the Biya's regime with this current batch of ministers. So I don't know. It's like a way of being in control, or a way of showing yourself that you you amount to something also.
Of course, you have to sing the good news, right?
Okay.
When you sing the praises of the master, you think the master is going to call you, but it's quite unfortunate that most of the ministers do not respect the prime, in the sense that at the end of the day, your press organ did not talk about the president after the Minister of Territorial Administration restricted you from carrying out certain operation. Now you realize that though the Prime Minister made mention of it, but you still respected the Minister of Territorial Administration.
Not, you can't say that for sure, because we report the news as it is. When John Guti actually came out to correct Atanganji Paul, we did report it on that. So look, as we move away from the government situation, now we talk humanitarian situation in the Far North region, precisely in the locality of Mayo Dani and Mayo Dani and Logon and Shari division of the country, where in the Far North region, where more than 400,000 persons are being affected by mass floods in that two divisions of the Far North region, according to Lloyd Sahel, newspaper of Gibe by Dama.
This is where I wanted the Minister of Territorial Administration to do something. It is not in his place to come out and tell people not to talk about the president, forgetting that Article 5 of the Cameroon Constitution gives me the right to talk about the president. He's an employee to Cameroonians. Now, you see, the Logon and Shari and Mayo Dani, it is not the first time. My worry is it keeps happening, and every time we will rush down there with relief materials.
Mattresses, buckets?
No, we don't need relief materials anymore. Amsterdam is on water. Amsterdam is a land that was actually won.
Even Venice in Italy.
Venice in Italy, we see water is, of course, you know, they use canoes and small boat as their own means of transportation to access other places. What stops the territorial minister to work with the ministry that Full Callistus Gentry manages? Of course, you should not forget he's an interim minister. Yeah. And the Minister of Environment and the others.
Housing and urban development.
This is where Kecha Cortez needs to work, not to come out and ask Cameroonians, you get it? No. Because they are quick to sing praises, thinking that the master is going to listen to them. It's quite unfortunate that after Cameroonians elected Paul Biya as the president, Paul Biya in 2017 sought some people and brought them in, like Atanganji, and later on brought in someone like Kecha Cortez. You get it? And many others. But Cameroonians keep dying every day after putting Biya as the president to give them the life they deserve. Why can't we go to that area and say that, okay, the newest city, we want to develop this area? They'll tell us that, no, you see the dam that is in that area, the river that we have that borders Cameroon and Nigeria in that area is, when it overflows, no. We receive monies every day from the European Union and we commit them in projects that at the end of the day Cameroonians will not see how beneficial these projects are. Why can't we go to those areas and we say, okay, today we want to give these people a sustainable change, because they need to actually lose their properties and their cattle before we go back to give them mattresses, 2 buckets of that's 2 buckets and 5 cubes of soap, because
and bags of rice
and bags of rice. They don't need this. Okay, no, they don't need this. What they need is for you as the Minister of Territorial Administration to give Cameroonians a sustainable solution to this area, that the floods that always come, the inundation that takes place, should not happen again.
Okay.
Yes. We
move on to politics still with Lloyd Sahel. He says Cabral Ibri advocating for a solidable and strong old CPDM regime.
It's a good thing. I would rather add my voice to what Cabral said and to add that rather than dividing the votes, truly there should be a coalition.
Okay.
There should be a coalition that should take across the nation. And members of the coalition should not be egocentric. They should lay down their ego. They should put down their position as party president or chairperson. There wouldn't be any crime if, for example, a party chairperson is a member of parliament, is a minister, is a governor. There wouldn't be any issue. You all cannot be president. This is what Cabral Ibri is saying. We all cannot be president. After all, after he contested in 2018 and did not win, he went back and contested at the level of the parliament, the municipal and the parliamentary, where he got some seats
and some councils.
And some councils. And so he, though being the presidential candidate of his party, he's a member of parliament.
Sure.
It is worth emulating.
Just like Joshua Osei.
The same with Joshua Osei, who is a member of parliament and the chairperson of his party. And probably he will be the presidential candidate. But it will be good that they should, why not, reconsider. Someone who is currently, because there are people who head their parties who are not even councillors. They are not councillors. And they have little or no impact. Because apart from being a head of your party, what else do you do? That's all. But if you are a municipal councillor or the municipal magistrate, therefore the mayor, or you are a senator from your party, it makes it better. Rather than you staying for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, and you pride yourself as your party chairperson or the president, but you do not actually have any area that you control
or impact.
I think they should have to lay down their ego. They have to throw it away. Please take it to Mayo Danai and take it to Logon and Share, where that water is taking over the land. Throw your ego there. Accept. Take it to River Mongo. Throw it. Take it to, the other. Take it. Bring it to Limbe. Dump it away. Dump that ego that you must become the next president. focus on the lives that you want to change. Because if you all say you want to change the lives of Cameroonians, then note that that council that is in the hands of the opposition, you certainly must have identified something different. So please, I like this call at this time. We have barely 10 months to the next presidential election. We have barely 10 months. 1 year, let me put it 1 year. That is the 9th of October 2025, which will be the next presidential election.
Okay.
They should indeed form a solid coalition that is going to, why not, bring the change that Cameroonians want. You all cannot be president. We all know that.
All right, we'll move on to the last newspaper for the day. The Post says Martin Barangangele charges 2,444 Mutengene police trainees to protect citizens, stay apolitical, and be objective in the execution of their functions. The 91-year-old Delegate General for National Security was speaking in Mutengene over the weekend as he commissions the 2,444 police trainees from the Mutengene Police College.
2,044 police trainees.
444.
No, graduation. It was their graduation.
Yeah.
Martin Barangangele says, okay, we want to make Cameroon a democracy as per what the Prime Minister brings home from
Samoa.
The Samoa Island, where the last Commonwealth
Head of government
took place. Okay. I'm bringing the parts to put them together to see why Martin Barangangele made that statement. We should not focus on the ruling party to manage people when they are brought before us. We should not focus on the ruling party when persons are brought to us. Don't be a silent member of the MRC party, and when someone who is of the CPDM party is brought, you handle the person because that person is from your party. Rather, let the police force going forward. If I want to protest and the law says I should protest, you, that police officer, don't beat me like you did to lawyers in Moya in 2016. That led to the ongoing crisis. Because your focus was that the lawyers were speaking to the government, and the government you saw was the executive arm. And the executive arm to you is the ruling party. And no one had the right. Martin Barangangele is saying that don't focus on the ruling party when you are treating people. Allow us to express our grievances. And when we take to the streets, as long as we are not vandalizing or looting, permit us, allow us to protest. Use your batons, don't use guns, like some of you did in 2016 and 2017, and killed children in the two English-speaking regions. This is what Martin Barangangele is saying, that refrain from that to that 2,444 persons who graduated from the Mutengene Police Academy, that desist from focusing on those who are in a ruling party only, and manage everybody in Cameroon in accordance with the law. Whether you are sent to Mayo Savi or Mayo Dana or to Ndelele or to Fotoko or to Pongve in the north, or whether you are sent to Mimboman in Yaoundé, or you are sent to Ngwaikele, or you are sent to Swa, or you are sent to Ange Raphael in Douala, or you are sent to Bamenda, or you are sent to the northwest or to Boya. When you come, do your job. Don't focus on the ruling party because you want promotion. Do your job. If you find anyone doing anything, be apolitical. It means that don't operate with respect to whatever political party you sympathize or align with. Rather, do your job. This is what your boss, Martin Barangangele, as known in French, Martin Barangangele, said. I have taken note of it, because if I will see your operations being political, then I'm going to write to Martin Barangangele in Yaoundé, who is the Director General for National Security, that you are not treating me right, and you're not treating fellow Cameroonians right. This is what Martin Barangangele said it.
All right.
And I believe the way he put it, he held his. We want a Cameroon that should have everyone on board.
Okay.
No should be treated differently.
All right, we wrap up the program with this last story on the Post newspaper. Talks of Northwest elite CPTM members attend BIA documentary screening in large numbers at the Mezam SDO's Esplanade, our station in Bamenda, and it was presided over by Regina Mundi.
Yes, you know, Mama Regina Mundi, she has suffered a lot. The non-state armed groups dealt with her. But she came and told us that no. Contrary to what others had said, it is a war that we have though. Those children, the arms they have, the kind of Kalashnikov they carry. No. It is not the thing we see in Yaoundé and we say it is a crisis. It is a socio-political crisis. She was the one who said it when she was received. She was the person that spoke to the Northwest to present to us regular power outages. Children living in the bush because they are angry with the central government. They have resorted to arm carrying, which is against our law. The military shoots and kill innocent people every day. But Senator Regina Mundi and her cohorts brought a video to the Northwest region and presented to the people the good works of Pobia.
Their champion.
Their champion. Mami Senator Regina Mundi, you have done well with respect to democracy. This is your right to your opinion. But I want you to sit back and judge it and tell me that the video you are purporting to be that of a very good man, we all know there is bad governance in Cameroon. I am speaking to you and Pobia now. You are our employees. I am speaking within the capacity of me as a taxpayer. Someone leave Bamenda, go to Womb and pay 1,000 francs like I paid while I was that little boy. Is it happening today? Can I leave and go down to Kumbo without hearing to as it's currently happening today? And you go around with videos presenting to the people of the Northwest region that Pobia is a good man. That Pobia has done so well. That we should believe in Pobia only. That Pobia is so wonderful. Let us use our consciences because we have them. It is not good. I know we enjoy in this democracy, the democracy that's from the Samoa Island, which is the latest as reported by Cameroon Tribune, that all members of the Commonwealth should practice democracy. We are all enjoying it, and that is why you have your right to say that Pobia is a good man. However, Mama Senator Regina Mundi, is he truly? To you, the Northwest House of Funds, I heard your leader called you all that you should rally behind Pobia. It is your right. I'm not going to refuse it. It is your right.
But normally chiefs supposed to be apolitical.
But chiefs are not apolitical, Mr. Journalist.
All right, Lucas,
they have chosen their side.
All right, I think we'll be packing our bags out of the studios. Our time is fast spent. But Lucas, we cannot go without revisiting the sad part of history in Buea. Yesterday, 27th October, clocks exactly, I think that should be 4 or 5 years ever since the demise of the late mayor of Buea, Ekema Patrick Esunge, was announced on Sunday. That was the 27th of October 2019. And we still remember the late Patrick Ekema Esunge as the mayor of the no-nonsense mayor of Buea, who actually brought sanity to the town, not a town full of garbage, piles, and all bad roads and all the mishaps that one can imagine. Yeah, on social media, I read some comments.
On the road.
Yeah, I read some comments that Buea doesn't have a mayor. That's not from me, but according to
Chief John Eko Ewome, before he would later on be whisked to Yaoundé on statements that he made, there was a time he said Buea does not have a mayor.
Yeah.
He was very angry because the way Buea was being managed, to him it was not a good thing. You get it? And this is why you find some on social media saying the same thing. it is because Buea is lacking. We have garbages everywhere. The mayor knows that the things we say, they are right. Go to opposite or the entrance heading to, because I don't want to call it, they did not pay you off for publicity. Go to the former GCA board before you negotiate that bend. Look at that culvert there. You will see that any moment from now, a vehicle is going to jump into that hole.
And accidents has been recurrent in that particular spot, and deadly accidents, of course.
Great.
That people's lives has been wasted due to
no waterways. But I hear they go around collecting taxes. People pay taxes that you should clean the town for them. People pay sanitation taxes, yet their areas are still littered with garbages.
Okay.
So we don't know if it is a private decision. But I have this to say. A man asked me that what could be the problem. Then I gave him a very succinct and truthful answer. The day Yaoundé will stop imposing leaders within the local areas, on that day.
Central Committee, for those of the CPDM ticket, of course.
It happens even with the SDF.
Really?
The SDF does that too. They impose who should be the mayor. Okay? The day they'll stop this, I tell you the truth, we will select people how these people spend a lot of money to get this position.
And their political godfathers and godmothers.
Good. The day we will stop this.
In the same ranks of the Central Committee of the CPDM.
That we are going to pick someone from Buea who will do something for us. That person is going to work for us. But you see these people, as long as they will be selected and imposed on us, they will not work for us.